Wait a minute. You like wrestling?
Of course I like wrestling. That's why I hate it.
Outlaws.
Wrestling is better than the things you like.
Outlaws. You'll take those rattlesnake fangs and you'll stick them right in my ass.
What?
Middle-aged. Outlaws. Today I'm middle-aged.
Welcome to episode 43 of the Middle-Aged Outlaws podcast. Adam, how the hell is it going?
It's going pretty good. What about you?
All right, thanks, aye.
Good.
We're looking forward to getting into 1996 with you.
Yeah.
A time of wonderment. A time for debuts. A time for, well, let's see if it's time for you to guess who was the UK number. No, let's. You're on a hot streak, so let's see if you can keep it going. How did you? This week we're going to talk about Survivor Series 1996. Thought it was apt to talk about, given that we're in Survivor Series season. Everything current about WWE at the moment is Roman Reigns. And everybody seems to think that he's going to be facing The Rock at WrestleMania. Whether or not that happens, thought it'd be good to go back and revisit Rocky Maivia, Flex Cabana, making his debut in Madison Square Garden. How good a decision that was? Well, I'm not that sure. A mixed bag was how you described it to me, and I think you're pretty much on the money, I think.
Yeah. Yes, some of this is good. Some of it's not so good. And yeah, where would be the fun in it if everyone was perfect?
Love that. Thank God that's your philosophy, because this podcast wouldn't have got very far if it wasn't. So, like I say, we're in November 1996, so let's take a wee look at it. November 1996, we had Kobe Bryant making his NBA debut for the LA Lakers. The Spice Girl released their debut album, Spice. Did you have it, Adam?
I didn't. No.
I don't believe that.
No, I think I found them quite irritating.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Mature
Sorry.
beyond your years.
Yeah. I mean, what would that? Oh God. I was about to turn 16. I probably should have been.
You probably were like perfect age for watching their videos on mute. The English Patient premiered in cinemas.
Wow.
Went on to win Best Picture at 1997 Oscars. I have never seen it. I'm a puff. Have you?
No, I've not actually. Yeah, I kind of assumed one of us. Well, I knew I hadn't, but it's probably quite unusual for two people of our age to both be like, nah. And I can fairly confidently say I'm never gonna.
Fair, same.
Yeah.
I think I've went past the period in my life where I have an appreciation for like good films, and now I'm quite happy just to watch like horrors and shite films. I think I went through a bit of a phase where I was like, I need to watch some of these arty films, but now, nah, I'm good. I've got some births and some deaths for you. I wonder if you will know either of the births. Do you know who Lord is?
Now, I do know who Lord is, but the reason I know who Lord is because they kind of made a big thing of Lord in South Park. So, yeah, I do know who Lord is.
Lord's not Elon Musk's partner, is she? Am I mixing her up with someone else?
I don't know. It might be, actually.
I sincerely hope not if she was born in 1986, because that would be quite the age gap. What about Lil Peep?
I'm not familiar with Lil Peep.
A horrible feeling Lil Peep may be no longer with us, but he was born in 1986. In the death column, I've only got one. I've got Tiny Tim.
I don't understand.
You know in Insidious, that song that plays over and over again, the Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
Oh yeah.
That's Tiny Tim that sung that song.
Okay.
You look like you could give a fuck.
But I just, when you said Tiny Tim, I thought, wait a minute.
What, from from the Charles Dickens
Yeah,
story.
that's what threw me. I thought, no.
Okay. I've got some wrestling related history from November '96, but I'll do our UK charts number one.
Right.
I
Right.
like. I was going to say I own this album, but I mean that means nothing to you, probably.
96, right. Euro 96 was on, but it had been and gone.
Yep.
I would have thought it'd be something quite good. In my mind, music was quite good then. Now, if you owned it, I'm assuming you liked it. Eh, right, I'll go number one. I didn't have a number one. Wait a minute. I don't know. Common People.
I'm sure you've guessed that before for
And
1996.
I'm never right.
I mean, you're in the right sort of. So it was "Breathe" by the Prodigy.
Okay. See, I started thinking, well, Oasis and Blur were everywhere at this point, but I think it
Mhm.
took a while for either of them to have a number one single, actually. I tried to apply logic.
What did we do last time? Something SummerSlam '94, and that was definitely Maybe's debut. So
Right,
2 years
okay.
on. This must have been more. What's the story? Morning Glory
Yeah, would have been.
period. And what about US? Different genre of music is a good song though.
Okay. Yeah, summoned by.
It's got a guest rapper on it.
Right. Okay, I was going to say summoned by Jay-Z. And then I'm thinking, did you own this?
Nah.
Nah, I give up.
It's got a little Penny Hardaway. You know a basketball fan, really, are you? A little Penny Hardaway wooden puppet in the video.
Okay.
Nah, doing nothing for you. It's No Diggy by Blackstreet.
Oh, I remember that.
I think Dr. Dre's on the start of that, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, let's see how you fare with your movies. UK box office number one. I'm so glad I get to be the one that asks this question and you get to guess them.
UK box office number one, 1996.
I've never seen this in my life.
Have a lot of people seen it? If it was UK box office number one.
I mean, maybe.
Titanic.
Really? It's not Titanic. It's The First Wives Club.
I
don't know anything about The First Wives. Have you seen it?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Right. And what about America? I've definitely seen this. And so have you.
Right.
I don't know if you have, actually. I have.
This is falling apart quickly.
It's a kid's film.
Right. Okay. Toy Story.
No.
I feel so judged by the tone of that. No.
I feel like Toy Story is like 1993 or something.
No idea.
It's got Michael Jordan in it.
Oh, no, that can't be. That's too late for Space Jam.
Well, not according to my research.
It's not. Oh, okay. Fair enough. I have seen it. Yeah. Okay.
I feel questioned now. I'm not going to look up. So yeah, Space Jam, UK box office number one.
Okay.
Some good music for November 1996. So just rounding off, setting the scene, the WWF Hall of Fame ceremony took place in November 1996, the night before Survivor Series pay-per-view. This was actually the last Hall of Fame ceremony to take place until 2004.
Okay. Did they reference this in the show? Because yeah, they did. Because I've got somewhere in a note something about they used to do the Hall of Fame before Survivor Series.
Aye.
Yeah.
So I'll run you through a wee list of who was inducted by who. So I don't know a lot of these people. Mikhail Skikluna was inducted by Gorilla Monsoon.
Okay.
He was a Maltese wrestler who was a tag team champion in the WWF.
Okay.
Captain Lou Albano, or Louis Albano, as Vince kept referring to him, was inducted by New York media personality Joe Franklin.
Okay.
Featuring on the card, Jimmy Snuka, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, was inducted by his parole by Don Muraco.
Okay. Yeah. The
That's definitely
original
not how you say Don Muraco.
Don Morocco. Don
Thank you.
Morocco, the original Rock. Yeah.
Mm,
It used to get referred to as the Rock.
nice.
Huh?
Johnny Snods was inducted by Arnold Scaland.
I feel like that guy you just said as the inductee was like the dad of both Nasty Boys or something like
Oh,
that. Just
really?
because of the name. He's not, but just because of the name.
Oh, right, okay.
What was it?
Just-
Johnny
Johnny Rods.
Rods. I thought you said Johnny Snods.
Okay. Killer Kowalski. Killer Kowalski was inducted by Triple H. Pat Patterson was inducted by Bret Hart. Which was nice. Vincent J. McMahon was posthumously inducted by by Shane McMahon. I was going to say by his son, by Shane McMahon.
Okay.
And rounding out the class of 1996, Jimmy and Johnny Valiant were inducted by the British Bulldog and Owen Hart.
Okay.
There you go. Interestingly, no, that's not. Don, can you say his name?
Don Morocco.
Wasn't inducted again in 2004.
Jake, they threw him out, and then he got back
Maybe,
in.
aye. That's a good point. So there you go. It's clearly a much bigger deal made of it now, and they get on the pay-per-view and everything. Although
Yeah.
Lou Albano did sort of walk out during this pay-per-view, and that seemed to be it.
Yeah, apart from Jimmy
was all we
Snuka.
got.
Yeah.
Aye, true.
Yeah.
So there we go. Do you feel 1996-ish now?
Not
Got
really.
the Prodigy on in the background.
I mean, I'm sure I was thoroughly enjoying myself in '96, just thinking back to being 15 and pretty much carefree. You'd probably worry about exams and that'd be about it and stuff like that. But yeah, good times. Good times, 1996.
Let's take that worry-free attitude into this podcast, Adam. And if you put S in front of the word podcast, then you've got my... Nah, it doesn't work. Damn it! Right, we're kicking off. We've got a lot of Survivor Series elimination matchups. I think we've got 3 on the card. There was a dark match. It was a beauty. It was a free-for-all Survivor Series 8-man tag team match. It was Aldo Montoya, Bart Gunn, Bob Holly, and Jesse James. And they defeated Billy Gunn, Justin Bradshaw, Salvatore Sincere, and the Sultan. That is a shame that we did not get to partake in that. But what we did get in our first match was the tag team champions, British Bulldog and Owen Hart, and the new rockers, Leaf Cassidy, and an incredibly high, or what appeared to be an incredibly off his rocker, no pun intended, Marty Jannetty, against, help me out with this, Doug Furness?
Yeah, Doug Furness and is it Phil Lafon?
Phil Lafon, very
Furness
proud
and
of his
Lafon. Yeah.
French roots, and the Godwins.
Yeah.
What did you think of this opening match?
I remember fairly recently we talked about how we thought these kind of matches were pretty cool when we were kids, and there were just loads of people involved, and now we're old and we just get really annoyed at how many people are involved in these matches and the makeup of the matches. And I remember taking it personally when Vince McMahon, by the sounds of it, questioned just abolishing the whole Survivor Series, and they started reducing the amount of 4-on-4 or 5-on-5. I totally get why they did it now. Like this whole match is to try and put over Furness and Lafon, who are, I mean, JR has to be their biggest fan in the world, and we're kind of in this heel JR type
Yeah.
situation.
What?
It,
Yeah.
it's
I,
awful. It doesn't
uh,
fit at all.
I think we should talk further about JR's behaviour throughout this whole pay-per-view at some point.
And it's obviously like intentional, and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. I don't know how many pay-per-views we've watched or that I've gone back and watched that had that three-man team on
Mhm.
commentary with
Mhm.
Vince, King, and JR. And JR being a, you've already got King, who's your natural heel commentator, but you've got, I don't know, maybe Vince thought JR was a bit boring and needed a bit of edge or
Need
something
an
like that.
angle. Mhm.
But yeah, there's a moment later on when everything clicked for me because he's being quite heelish. But it wasn't until I saw Diesel and Razor Ramon that everything actually clicked
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
But yeah,
just he's just coming across pissed off quite a lot
yeah.
more than heelish. It's just like that, like he's annoyed by everything that's going on.
Mhm.
Anyway, what did you think of Furnace and Lafon?
Well, they weren't really doing it for me. I like
Good, I'm glad.
I I I don't know if the fact that he was putting them over so much made me go the other way and just think, oh, piss off, JR. That these guys are, they had no charisma. They're clearly very good athletes, but they had no
Mhm.
charisma about them, and they're opposing, or it felt like they were being positioned to be opposing Bulldog and Owen.
Yeah.
And the thing that really made me happy right at the start of this match, and I've got in my notes, is this is Slammy Owen. This is Owen
Yes.
when he's won a Slammy and he's making it seem like the biggest, most important thing in the world.
He's got it on his gear.
Yeah,
Double slammy winner, I think he's got in his gear.
I love that Owen. That Owen is basically every version of Owen's good, but this version, when he's been given this and he makes something of it, it's just awesome.
He's
Um,
so he's so far and away the biggest star in this match.
yeah.
Bulldog looks like a star as well,
Mhm.
but less convincingly so. I quite like heel Bulldog actually. Short hair, heel Bulldog with the
Yeah,
pants on.
yeah. No, there's something that I think a bit cooler about that presentation than there was for the sort of the long hair and the, you know, the Union Jack stuff everywhere and
Hmm.
stuff like that. This felt a bit edgier.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a moment early on. I'm trying to think who it was. JR says it about. He calls someone a geek.
Hmm. Who was that? Aye,
I think it's maybe Marty
I think
Jannetty.
it's Marty Jannetty because Jannetty's dancing about the ring doing all sorts of weird stuff. It seemed out of character for his, like out of kayfabe character. It just seemed
Hmm.
like he was being an idiot. Aye, because of my geek, it's funny.
I wonder if Jeanette. I mean, touching on, I've got some in my notes about how Jannetty looks just to the eye when you see him. And started wondering, is he maybe just not around after this match? Because that wouldn't surprise me.
He clearly hurts himself during the match as well, and
Yeah.
he's hopping about on one leg for a while. I've got my notes here. Thank God Jannetty's out of this match. They got him out quick. The horrible one of the very early horrible things that happens is that Furnace. I think JR's talking up his drop kick, and he
Uh-huh.
completely misses someone with a drop kick. It looks like he damn near broke his neck.
Hmm.
It's
And
horrendous.
it's not the only moment a bit like that in this match from Furnace. I mean, I watched this and then kind of didn't want to ever see him again because he drops Owen on his head a bit later on as well.
Oh really?
Yeah. Um, they've got like they're clearly going for some tag combinations throughout the match and stuff like that. And we've got Leaf Cassidy, who is Al Snow,
Yeah.
um, getting in and owning it and taking some names and all that. They sort of reference the fact during this that Bret has recently returned to WWF, and we'll talk about that when we get a bit further down the
Hmm.
line. But because we just dropped into this, I couldn't think where we were in terms of Bret, Owen storyline and things like that. But they make it pretty clear that Bret and Owen and Bulldog would not be happy with the fact Bret's back. So we know we're in heel Owen and Bulldog
Hmm.
territory, and the I forgot it. Oh yeah, I figure for Bret, it's probably the next Mania, but that he's going to turn. But we'll get to that as we go. Yeah, Jannetty eliminated quite early by one of the good wins after a kind of, what I've written is a fall away slam neck breaker thing, as the move to eliminate Jannetty, and then Owen incredibly quickly is in and pins Henry Godwin for him to go out at 3 each, to leave it 3-all. And I was hoping right when the first pin went, it was one of them where both partners had to go. I just wanted the match to end as quickly as possible, but sadly it wasn't. It's probably too small a match for that to happen. It's individual eliminations that are on the go here.
Can I just point something out about the Godwins? Oh, two things actually. Who started the match for the supposed face team? Was it Phineas?
I think so.
He spits up in the air and catches it, and then uses it to gel his hair.
Do you say that in like a disgusted or an impressed way?
No, in an absolutely disgusted way. Also, the Godwins are Phineas, Godwin, and and what's the other one?
Something beginning with H. Yeah,
Pig and Hog.
Pig and Hog.
That's just so Vince.
Yeah, it's so bad. We must be getting right towards the end of that kind of thing being on the go, but it's still there here just now.
Pig and Hog, for goodness.
Terrible.
So Owen hits a flying sort of, what would you call that? A heel kick, spinning heel kick.
Yeah, spinning heel kick
on Phineas, I think, and he's gone.
Yeah,
I do quite like in these matches how a body slam can put somebody out, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always makes me chuckle. I stopped taking notes after Phineas Godwin got put out, so I apologise.
What have I got in my notes? Bulldog and Owen. It seems like they totally own the match for a while. They're just in doing their stuff. You've got some nice moves, bridge suplex by Owen. Bulldog starts showboating quite extravagantly at various points in the match. And then you get a suplex from the top by LaFawn on Leif Cassidy that flips him onto his front as they land. It was quite an impressive looking move, but that eliminates Leif Cassidy.
So his gimmick was supposed to be that he was like into 70s stuff, apparently, Leif Cassidy.
Okay.
But how does that fit with Marty Jannetty? And it's just all snow. That's all you can see. I know that sounds like a silly thing to say, but he's even got that sort of puzzled look on his face, like Al Snow has.
Yeah. We've got Insigiri by Owen for 2 nice moves by Owen and Bulldog, but out of nowhere, LaFawn rules up Bulldog for a pin to eliminate him, and that leaves it Owen against Furnace and LaFawn.
Yeah, and this is where I was feeling disgusted that they've booked it 2 faces versus 1 heel.
Yeah, doesn't really make any sense. You've got Owen dominating, putting the sharpshooter on LaFawn, and he does look like he's in control for a bit when it's a 2-on-1, but the numbers game catches up with him. LaFawn gets tagged into Furnace. My notes. Furnace with a German suplex that looks horrible. Owen lands on his head. Then Furnace and LaFawn with the pin to be the 2 survivors. 2 guys that look and feel like jobbers are the survivors, Furnace and LaFawn. And that suplex is a neck breaker waiting to happen, but JR loves these guys.
I'm sure one of them went to college in Oklahoma. I'm sure JR mentions that at some point, so that's where that comes from. And they make a big thing of them being big in Japan and all that sort of stuff. And I don't think they're around very long. You imagine Vince maybe sitting there going, maybe made a mistake here.
Yeah.
You've got like really phony gimmicks like the Executioner later on, and then you've got these 2 guys that they're sort of putting over like shoot fighter type gimmicks. It's all quite...
It's all over the place, kind of.
It's a wee bit. So we're down in the boiler room with our boy Kevin Kelly. He's with Paul Bearer and Mankind, and Paul Bearer just drops his absolute fire catchphrase. He says he's not going to go. He's not an animal. he won't be going in a cage. Oh, what's the catchphrase? Because I'm Paul Bearer and you're not.
Yes, that's it.
Amazing.
Yep.
And then we've got like full on deranged Mankind promo where he's whispering in his kind of high pitched voice.
They sort of put across that Mankind has had wins against Undertaker, and there aren't that many. There aren't that many people, full stop, that have had wins against Undertaker. He's very much positioned as someone that can go in and beat him because he has, which is probably a really brave way to go with the Mankind character, is just position him against, one of the biggest stars fairly quickly. And I know he had great matches against some other top guys as they were going through, but it's kind of always think of the Undertaker and Mankind series when I'm thinking Mankind. He had top class matches with Michaels and Triple H and a few others as well, but you always just think of Taker with Mankind.
So at this point, you'll maybe need to correct me here. I think they've had a match, a Buried Alive match.
Yes.
And Undertaker's been gone for some time since.
Yes. Yeah.
So this was his big return to pay-per-view, I think.
Yeah.
And what better way than to bring someone back who was previously wearing purple than to dress them like a giant bat and lower them from the top of the arena fully leathered up. This was fucking terrifying. I got he looked like he reminded me of in near the start of Jeepers Creepers where they come across the monster and his wing flies open.
Yes.
It reminded me of that. Give me the heebie-jeebs.
Nice.
Horrible.
I never thought of that, but yeah.
What were they thinking with that? Bat Taker.
And he has the teardrop tattoo as well, doesn't he?
Yeah. Always found that quite odd as well. What's that supposed to symbolise? That he's died and come back?
Does that not symbolise that you've killed a guy?
Nah, I think so. Going by both your and I's deep knowledge of gang culture.
Yeah.
It's during the entrances of this match that I first noticed Big Vlad, the super fan in the front row.
Okay.
With his massive big smile. Are you aware of Vlad?
So
generally,
you sent me a message the other day, and I was like, "What's Vlad?" So I looked it up, and then I saw this Vlad the super fan thing, and then I thought, "Oh yeah, he's been seen on loads of shows. He's at loads of things." And then I read that there was supposed to have been a documentary being released about him, but
by WWE.
It hasn't happened. Yeah, but I don't think it's ever actually been released.
Right.
I think it was all made and then not released, which is a shame because it'd probably be quite interesting.
That's quite cool. It's just this guy that seems to have been at every single pay-per-view you've watched in the 90s. I think he's even the first One Night Stand. I think you can see him in the the ECW One Night Stand. What's that, 2005 or something? Anyway, him and Sid clearly have quite a good relationship because he's getting the aggressive fist pumps later on.
Yeah.
So JR with this match is talking up how Undertaker's going to come back and we're going to see a different Undertaker and he is going to be. So I think he was suggesting he was going to be like sort of street fighty, brutal, and the first thing he does is go for a drop toe hold.
Yeah.
It's just quite funny, and after that he's using a lot of sort of mat based wrestling type moves. I don't remember watching this show. I don't remember ever seeing Undertaker wrestle like this.
No, like I remember I was probably not watching in this era. I think I was on my time away from watching it when it was on at this period of time. But I remember seeing like an Undertaker against Kurt Angle match on SmackDown or something years later, and it was before he'd had like the matches with Triple H and the matches with Shawn Michaels as he came towards the end of his career. And seeing him doing all these wrestling moves with Kurt Angle in the ring and thinking, even then, way later in his career, thinking that's weird. And it almost seems like it was quite sudden. The last few years of his career, he started doing these type of things. Strange.
I mean, like these guys must be trained in they will know all this. It's a bit like when you see Austin later on, and he's like a wrestling machine. He's like Chris Benoit
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
It's quite funny. It's like a shock to the system sort of thing. I gotta be honest, I didn't like this match at all.
Nah.
I was disappointed by it.
Yeah, having seen good ones between them, and there's usually a fair bit of drama with whatever it is that's going on, and a hell of a lot of punishment. I think the Paul Bearer situation took me out of it a bit.
Okay.
Just the fact that they were having him in a shark cage above the ring, I was like, all right, why? It made me care less the fact that that was happening. And then the whole time, I kept expecting some kind of shenanigan because the whole time he was like, I'm not going in, I'm not going in. Even as they're walking down the ring, he's like, I'm not going in there. And then, boom, the match is starting. He's up there, he's in.
And that was it. You
Yeah.
heard the odd noise every now and again from him, warbling.
Where were they?
and
Where were they
shaking the
going
cage.
with this? It's weird.
So I assume the whole thing is that he'd been a sort of thorn in the side of the Undertaker,
Yeah.
along with Mankind.
I assume so. I think I just expect when they do something like that, that something will come of it. Like,
especially Undertaker with the whole supernatural stuff and all that.
yeah, lower the cage. Yeah.
So I'm cutting to the end here really quickly. So jump in if there's anything you want to talk about. But what was the story with the knife? Why did Mankind have a Stanley knife? And why did the referee just let him attack him with it? It reminded me of that time New Jack just took a knife and started going to a guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, they sort of play the match as the threat of the mandible claw. That's kind of the story they go for through the match.
Yeah. Yep.
Undertaker's trying to take out the arm and the hand and stuff like that so that he can't apply the mandible claw. And then, it's for them, it's a pretty underwhelming match. But I've got a few bits. Mankind jumped off the turnbuckle. Taker catches him by the throat, but Mankind's able to apply the mandible claw. Taker looks to be fading, eventually pulls his hand out the mouth, hits the choke slam. Mankind a couple of times goes for these, like, I don't know, cannonball dives off the apron. And God, that lad took a hell of a lot of punishment through his career. And what else have I got? There's some sleeper holds, some light rest holds on the go. Did they ever actually say that it's a knife he's got in his hand? I'm not sure if they actually
No, that was
say
my
what it is.
assumption.
Yeah, because there's just a point where you see them both get back to their feet after Mankind's had a sleeper on Taker, but Taker side suplexes him from that position, so they're both down for a bit. But as they both get back to their feet, Mankind's got something in his hand, strikes Taker with it, and then just continues to use it. He's like climbed on Taker's back in the corner as he's attacking him. Taker uses that situation to pull Mankind's head forward,
yep.
Get him in the tombstone position and hit the tombstone. And yeah, that's kind of it. There's no big they looked like a knife. There's no big payoff from it in the end. He tried to use it, he doesn't get the win with it. And then I never knew if it was, I don't know if they were clear if it would be a stipulation that if Undertaker won that he would be able to get his hands on Paul Bearer. But the tank's being lowered. I suppose he's the person that's there standing, so he's going to get his hands on Paul Bearer in theory. But then, well,
a guy from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, comes running it.
Yeah, who the hell was this guy?
I've no idea. I have no recollection of the Executioner at all. They go on to have a match at the next In Your House. Poor Undertaker. Right, okay. Like when you really look at his streak, he's fought a lot of, like not well thought of opponents. Certainly in the early times, they've had him do some strange stuff. Nathan,
do you know
Jones
who it is? Did you look up who it is?
No.
It's Terry Gordy.
Oh, that's right. I knew that. So it is. Yeah. Here's a great way to capitalise on Terry Gordy. Let's put a mask on him.
I don't think he stuck around very long. Probably one match and done. Probably.
He might have been quite far on in his career.
I think he must have been. Yeah.
Oh well. that was that.
It's a shame because I was quite enthusiastic for when I saw they were up against each other on the card. I thought this might be decent, and then really quickly thought to myself, it's just not going to be. It's not got anything about it really.
It felt like filler, didn't it?
Yeah.
So we go backstage with Doc Hendricks, and I don't know why this has only just occurred to me, but I wonder why he's not called Michael Hayes. Why do you think he's called Doc Hendricks? Just the whole Vince WWF trademark and
I've definitely heard Bruce Pritchard talking about this before on his podcast, and he was talking about the fact that he's always been known as a great talker, and apparently a few of the guys like Pritchard and JR used to try and talk Vince into bringing him in and giving him a role and, interviews, or I think for a while he did commentary on one of the B shows and things like that. But I think Vince just thought that everything about him or everything about the Freebirds was pretty dated, and he needed a fresh paint of coat.
It's quite ironic.
I think, well, yeah. Like, I suppose for an older school people, you want it to be referenced as him.
Yeah. Just wonder if it's too NWA for him.
Yeah, maybe. And then in his own ways, though, he's totally stuck in his ways. It's strange. Strange. Vince. Strange character.
Well, indeed. So we've got Doc Hendricks. He is with Team Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Quite a unique mix of characters. We've got Triple H, who appears to be the Intercontinental Champion at this point. Jerry King Lawler, who was on commentary and has now joined this team. Crush, who has had quite the makeover from the sort of kid-friendly Hawaiian, bright-coloured man that he was.
Yeah.
And Goldust. And they all cut various versions of promos, which essentially mean absolutely nothing, and it's just like sound bites, especially Goldust.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were aiming at some sort of an angle here, because I assume at this point in time is when Triple H was coming out with a different valet every time that he came to ringside, and there's a point where he's kind of eyeing up Marlena as they're doing the segment, and he's getting a bit of a look back and things like that. And I thought, I wonder if they're just planting a seed there for what's about to happen.
Yes, I think it's Triple H Goldust at the next pay-per-view. I think you're bang on.
And it sounded like Mark Henry was supposed to be involved in this. I think they referenced
Mark Henry
that.
was supposed to be on the other team, on Team Mero.
Yeah, and I was trying to get my head around the fact that that's this era, but it would be. It seems to me quite early for him coming in, but I don't think he's in the nation immediately when he gets there. I think he gets brought in later down the line. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing to me. I don't think I don't have any sort of idea what he looks like prior to Nation. I thought Nation was his first introduction. So they are going to be that team Triple H is going to be taking on Team Mero, which is Mark Mero, Rocky Maivia making his WWF debut. We've got the Stalker Barry Windham.
Yeah.
And a mystery partner, which appears to be Jake the Snake Roberts, although I'm not entirely sure. I mean, you could easily convince me, along with fake Razor and fake Diesel, that this was indeed fake Jake as well. He is not in shape. And they say he's 41.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up. I mean, that's between...
Finn Balor's 41.
It's between our ages. And I know we're not necessarily holding up perfectly, but, it's better than Jake Luke.
I mean, I couldn't hit a DDT and knock a guy out. Could you?
Well, nah.
Can you, whirl your arm around your head like that?
I'd probably do some damage to my shoulder if I give that a go.
Maybe just pulled something. So, Barry Windham, the Stalker, looks like two things. One, like somebody's pumped up Spike Dudley with a football pump. and 2 like the sort of nonsensical creator wrestler that my son would make on WWE 2K.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
The big tash, the camo trousers, just the generic WWF t-shirt.
Yeah.
What a poor guy.
I know he's probably by this point pretty far past his prime, but another case of it seems like a bit of a waste. You bring in this guy who's, a big name, very well respected, and turn him is a baby face called the Stalker. Is that what's going on here?
Yep. His music's like insane as well. It's like really horrible, creepy sort of music. It's so bizarre.
Oh, because King's involved in the match, Sonny comes out to join the commentary team.
Yes.
Vince does a little bit of dancing, and JR berates him for that. Just starts tearing into him for it, and there's quite a bit of heat, but not that kind of heat, between JR and Sonny. They're not on good terms.
You say heat, I've got sexual chemistry.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was that kind of heat then. Yeah.
Sonny's good with the one-liners, with the zingers.
There's a lot of them. I didn't know if she was just trying to take on the King role, so that's what she was doing.
She mentioned something about Jake Roberts not being able to. He could never be a lawyer because he couldn't pass the bar or something like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, good one.
I think I wrote that one down somewhere.
I quite enjoyed her on commentary. I thought she was quite good.
She was quite funny. I couldn't tell. I suppose the thing I was struggling with dynamic-wise, and I was struggling with it when King was there as well, is if JR's the heel, is King supposed to be babyface? And then is Sonny coming in supposed to be babyface? I couldn't. Sonny's going to get a good reaction regardless, but I couldn't. It was an odd dynamic. Very strange.
I think Sonny might be with Triple H as far as kayfabe.
Right.
They were talking, him, her, and Mr. Perfect. As a sort of little.
Okay.
Oh no, because Perfect must have jumped at this point. Maybe they kind of bury Perfect a little bit.
Right.
And that's probably why, actually. That would make sense.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about Mark Merrow before we get into this match? I don't remember him looking so, what was his WCW character called? Johnny
B. Bad.
Johnny B. Bad.
Yeah.
Which was like a Little Richard type character. I don't remember him looking so Little Richard-ish in the WWF.
Yeah, is he quite new in here, or
He must be?
Yeah, yeah, because there was always a story about that. It was that character Vince was signing him for, but he couldn't portray that character because it was property of WCW. So he didn't really know what to do with him. But he certainly looks, I think, as similar to that look as he ever did in WWE.
Aye, that's quite odd. The Wildman character just seems to be, that's what they're going for, is that Johnny B. Bad character.
Yeah.
And I think Sable actually debuted before Mero, didn't he? She was Triple H's
that's right.
valet. Yeah. And that's what the whole heat is between the two of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously we've got The Rock here making his debut. He wasn't in the match that much.
No, it's funny because looking back, knowing what he became and the star that he became, he's almost, he's your debut guy, and JR talks him up. JR's doing his best to talk him up with his. This is where he says that's going to be the man right there. This is a blue chipper. This guy,
blue chipper. I use that phrase a lot.
And Sunny's agreeing actually. She's talking up the Rock, but yeah, he's got a few moves and all that. He seems to be incredibly enthusiastic, like an overexcited dog when a new person comes into the house.
Brilliant.
That's what he reminded me of. You would not have watched this and actually thought it's going to be like the biggest star in the world, but he's athletic. He's definitely athletic. But yeah, I didn't feel like the charisma was quite coming out yet. I didn't think his personality was really there yet at this stage.
And the thing, they went from Rocky Rocky to Rocky sucks, die Rocky die, and it's probably the best thing that ever happened to him because it
Oh, yeah.
allowed him to transition into Nation of Domination and all that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know where to go with this, to be honest. I've just taken a lot of silly notes, like why is Harvey Whippleman a second referee? He's taken some amount of abuse from JR. Like, almost from the very first match, JR's on top of him.
Yeah.
I don't remember Harvey Whippleman being a ref, do you?
Nah, I don't. No.
I was disappointed to see Triple H get eliminated. I knew The Rock won the match. It
Yeah.
seems like weird booking to have the Intercontinental Champion in the match, have The Rock win the match, but not have him win over Triple H.
Yeah, you would think that would be able to set something up down the line. I assume they still had some places to go with the Triple H Mark Mero Intercontinental title situation, because it's referenced quite a lot as they're going through. Rocky takes quite a bit of punishment, but I did sort of note with some enthusiasm the first Triple H and The Rock exchange in the ring.
Amazing.
And just thinking, well, how often is that then going to play out on far, far bigger stages? And yeah, you've got Rock. He did quite a lot of selling, actually. I suppose that's, you're a brand new guy, you've got to do a fair bit of that. And having been watching young Rock, I know that was one of the big things he was taught, is that he had to master the selling. And the whole team, it felt like the whole other team took a turn basically dominating The Rock over a period of time, so he takes a lot of punishment in the match.
I felt like I'd never really noticed how good Goldust could sell before.
Right.
I know it's quite an odd thing, but he seemed to be throwing himself all over the place for Mark Mero,
Yeah.
which I thought was quite odd.
Mm-hmm.
They went on to have a rivalry, didn't they? Mero
They
and
did,
Goldust,
but they were
kind of together and falling out.
yeah.
And
I think it started as them opposing, and then when Mero turned on Sable, he kind of aligned himself with Goldust, and I think, was it like Luna at the time?
yeah.
And they were a heel team for a while, and then that, I think they ended up facing against each other again after that. I've got a few things in notes.
Go for it.
Jake with a short clothesline on Triple H and calling for the DDT, but Triple H managing to escape. Heel team dominating Jake in the corner. Lawler coming in and mocking Jake, going for a power slam, but Jake escapes out the back, and then boom, Jake hits Lawler with the DDT. That being the first elimination of the match. Goldust with Sleeper, Jake managing to get the tag to the Stalker. The Stalker, it feels so wrong to say. The Stalker's dominating, but Gold is dominating Goldust, but Crush gets him from behind. Goldust hits the curtain call on the Stalker to eliminate him and make it 3 each.
And he gets eliminated pretty soon, just after JR said about him wearing his lucky boots, and Sable has a right good laugh at that.
What else have we got? It felt like they were trying to make a big thing of Mero and Triple H being in at the same time. Triple H playing the heel seemed like he was trying to avoid being in there with a fresh Mero, but he's happy to go in when Mero's struggling a little bit. Heel team dominate for a while. Mero thinks he has a roll-up. Triple H eventually kind of manages to just about tag Goldust. I wasn't sure he actually made contact, but Goldust is able to blindside Mero. Mero with a head scissors on Triple H. Moonsault or a Merosault?
Merosault, yeah. Thanks, JR.
With an assist by Jake to eliminate Triple H and take a 3-2 lead. Mero taken to the outside where the heel team go on full attack, and then Mero gets eliminated. And it's kind of, I suppose, in ring it felt like a little bit of a whimper that he got eliminated with, but I suppose they did have him just like attacked by multiple people on the outside. What do you make of the heart punch as a move?
Who uses that? Crush.
Crush.
I mean, he looks like somebody that would try to put punch in the heart, doesn't he? What's he got on his forehead?
I don't know.
I don't have strong
Well.
feelings about the heart punch. Do you?
I don't like it. Just think it's a shit move.
Like
But
a tomahawk chop.
yeah, he eliminates Jake with the heart punch. Which,
Well, to be fair, if it's going to be successful on anybody.
wow. All right, Sonny.
Sorry, Jake.
So what we're left with is Crush and Goldust against Rocky Maivia. You've got Rocky holding his own, scoop slam on Crush, but eventually the 2-on-1 advantage is starting to take its toll. And we get a spot where Goldust is holding the Rock as Crush goes for the heart punch. Rock knows how devastating that move is, so he manages to squirm out the way. Crush hits Goldust with the heart punch. Jumping crossbody by Rock on Crush to get the pin.
Beautiful.
So now we're down to 1-on-1, Rock and Goldust. Shoulder breaker by Rock on Goldust for the win. That I don't know if it was being positioned as kind of his finishing move or if it was just a Survivor Series elimination move.
Yeah, JR calls it before he does it, so maybe they were thinking, this is the move, shoulder breaker.
He got an all right reaction, I think, at this point from the crowd. It's obviously they're putting him over. He survives against the odds, having been 2-1 down. I thought as a career starter on pay-per-view, that's probably quite a nice little starter for him.
Pretty massive, yeah. So we go to probably the best non-wrestling thing on the pay-per-view. Steve Austin in black and white, just tearing into Bret Hart.
Yeah.
He has a go at him about his pink trousers. He talks about him being beat by a sissy boy in Shawn Michaels. He talks about him running away because I don't think Bret's been seen since WrestleMania 12 when he lost the Iron Man match.
Yeah.
This is his first return. I want to say he's away doing things like that television show that we could never remember.
Yeah.
The Simpsons, various things. This is amazing promo. I feel like this is lightning in a bottle style promo. What do you think? What did you think of it?
Yeah, I really liked it. We've seen so many Austin promos over the years where he's already the guy, so it almost doesn't matter what he says because the crowd are going to pop for it and all that.
Yeah.
He's not quite there yet here. He's on the trajectory. He's going to get there. He's had the big King of the Ring moment. And I think I originally thought in my mind he almost becomes massively over at that stage, but it's still building. It was just one of the blocks in building it. So it almost felt to me like I think I enjoyed it more than the promos when he was right on top. It just felt like there was more there. And I think these two opposing each other. I love the idea that he's calling out the top guy who isn't there. He's not given a response for quite a long time. I love the fact that in Bret Hart's responses, when he is coming back, he's not belittling anything about Austin. He is talking about going in and facing what he considers to be the best wrestler.
Yeah.
Which just gives it this feeling of importance. Really enjoyed the setup.
How do you think the champion Shawn Michaels feel about him describing Austin as the best wrestler in the company?
Probably not too pleased, but he has his own things to worry about later on, so that's fine.
I like that, the whole dynamic as well. I got the same feeling as we talked about when we were watching through 98 and The Rock was early Nation of Domination.
Yeah.
And we were both saying it's almost more, it's more exciting and more enjoyable watching it before they properly blow.
Yeah.
I think this is the best version of Austin I've ever seen. This is, like the whole don't trust anyone. He doesn't care what people think. He's just himself, sort of thing. I think I probably came into Austin as he was already over.
Right. Yeah.
But at this point, he's I would say he's in between heel and face. Clearly, people like it and are reacting to it. He's getting booed sometimes. He's getting really cheered sometimes.
Yeah.
But he clearly does not care. I think he even says, "You can bring your little 316 signs. I don't care."
Yeah, he does. And I don't know if that makes it, maybe it makes it easier because you don't have to. I mean, he was so over for a while, it did literally feel like they would pop for anything he said. But I suppose you can just say or come up with exactly what you're thinking or what you think is right in the moment without worrying about, am I going to keep the crowd support here? It didn't seem to be a factor here. Just say whatever you thought. Just say whatever crossed your mind. Yeah, I get. I think sometimes in following them, and it's one of those where it kind of makes me wish I was watching actively at the time this was going on. But the journey's more fun than actually once they get there. The journey to it's more fun.
I don't know. How do you rate this match versus Mania 13? Because Mania 13 is pretty much all people talk about when you talk about Austin Brett.
Yeah, I think for me, there's ways in which this is a better match. I think the finish for Mania 13 is better. I think it does everything it needs to do. But in terms of the actual body of the match, I think I might prefer this.
Me too. Mania 13, there's a lot of shenanigans. You got Shamrock involved. They fight in the crowd for a really long time in that match, and you've obviously got the submission aspect to it as well. This is a technical. I've got here. This is a clinic that's on the go here. What else can you say? We talked about Owen Brett last time in the cage at SummerSlam '94, and before that we talked about him at WrestleMania 10, and it felt quite similar to me here. We had Austin essentially scraping the bottom of the barrel to find any move he could use to beat Bret Hart at his own game. We see him put on the Texas Cloverleaf. He tries a bow and arrow type submission at one point because Bret kicks out of the stunner later on, and he then starts pulling out these moves. And it just felt like, I'm going to do everything in my arsenal possible to beat this guy.
It gave it as well the feeling you can understand. I think the situation. Austin wants to be the top dog. This is a number one contender match. He wants to be fighting for the title next. Bret is the made guy. He's already there. He's already been there. He's already won the titles. But there's almost like a desperation from Austin. Like, anything I have to do, I am willing to do it to get to where I need to be, which is relatable. You can understand it. It makes sense as a story. And this guy just trying to keep ahead of the pack and ahead of this I suppose up and comer in terms of a high profile singles wrestler who wants his spot and wants to get there and wants to be better than him, and it's such a simple thing in so many ways. But I think one of the things that makes me a little bit like wonder what could have been is watching Austin matches like this, because by the time he's actually on top, he's had his neck break. His style's changed. He'll say himself he became a brawler. That's the way they went with it to protect him. But some of the matches he could have had, and then you think about who ends up joining the company, things like that. Your Kurt Angles, your Benoits, folk like that. It almost makes me a bit sad about thinking about the matches he could have had just watching him do this with Bret.
Yeah, 100%. Even things that he did as part of his repertoire, like the elbow off the second rope, was just a lot more athletic. He's sort of flying through the air almost. And obviously he came in as a ringmaster. He obviously had that, and I do remember enjoying stunning Steve Austin in WCW as a youngster. So he obviously had something he's always had charisma, I think.
Yeah.
But he's obviously always had something in the ring as well.
Mm-hmm.
I did like him going to the $1 Million Dream as well
Yeah.
right at the end. That again, it harks back to previous character, but it also plays into the whole storyline of like him clawing, and I need to beat him. I'm going to do whatever it takes.
Mm-hmm. There was one moment where I winced a little bit because Bret hits a massive pile driver on Austin. And just knowing what ends up happening with Austin, I was a bit like, obviously totally safely executed on that occasion, but I think I just hate watching pile drivers. I'm not a fan.
Mankind hit one on Undertaker earlier on as well, and I remember thinking, oof.
Yeah, he jumped into that one as well, I'm sure. Yeah, I really liked, touched on it earlier after the stunner, and I think he got so used to people not kicking out of stunners because that it didn't happen when he was on top. But I'm fine with Bret kicking out of it here. I think it plays into the match they're having, but the sort of anger and frustration that Austin feels at that's brilliant. It's just brilliantly sold as part of the story that that's my move and it hasn't beat him, and what do I do? And you talk about some of the moveset he starts going for, and it just works so well as a story.
It's brilliant, and he almost goes immediately straight back and pins him again, as if to like that never happened.
Yeah.
Here we go. This'll do it, and he kicks it again. I really like that. I suppose. How do you feel about? I didn't love the finish, but I think it's just because of what we've watched probably recently.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we've seen this finish a couple of times recently. I can't think off the top of my head. I can remember saying to you they went for the Piper Bret finish.
Yeah, I remember when we watched him win King of the Ring, they definitely did it. He had a finish like that, and it happened in another match we watched as well, but I can't remember what one. But I did like end up thinking, right, are we just watching matches where he does that, or did he do this all the time?
It's probably quite coincidental. And we've spoke before about liking when a match ends like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be finisher or whatever. It comes out of the blue. I was just like, oh, that one again? But
yeah. As I say,
a good finish.
I think the part of the reason, the WrestleMania match with the submission and the non-submission in the sharpshooter, that's telling a story as the finish, which is basically switching their roles. But here, you're not killing Austin with that finish. It seems and it feels, and the commentators play it as well as there was very little in that. Either man could have won that match, and you've still got somewhere to go. You can go back to that program. That's not going to cause you any issues because it didn't feel definitive as a win.
Do you know what I found interesting? I don't think they were supposed to face each other at Mania 13. I don't think that was the plan.
No,
I can't. Nah.
Shawn Bret 2 was going to be the plan. Yeah.
And yet JR here talks up. He keeps talking about how he'd like to see a submission match between these two.
Yeah.
Quite early on as well. I thought it was quite bizarre.
Yeah. It made me wonder if Vince is sitting there next to him and at a point harks back to that and thinks, okay,
let's just do that.
Yeah.
But a great match. I think they must go a hell of a time.
Yeah, I don't have it written down, but it's one of those, and I feel like we talk a lot about good Bret matches in particular. They never feel like they've lasted as long as it actually says they have, because it just all works and flies by.
28 minutes. That went. Mr. Meltzer gave it 4.5. 4.5 stars, which is pretty much, I would agree with that. I felt a lot of matches on this card dragged quite a lot, but this was absolutely not one of them at all. I'd be taking more of this.
Yeah, it'd be the longest match, but it felt like the quickest.
Aye. Yeah. And what do you think about them giving Bret the win, given Austin seems to be on a pretty fast trajectory here?
I get it, but I wonder if you had given Austin the first win, you could have played on the Brett's been out of the ring a while. Let's have another match.
Mhm.
I think you could have gone a bit further with it, but I don't know whether we'll talk about it when we get to Shawn Sid, but maybe they just wanted to get the belt back on Brett once he was
Mhm.
back. Yeah.
And okay, so talking to Shawn Sid, we go to the back with Doc Hendricks again, and we get Sid. He's obviously just come from his softball game. He's still got his hat on. And what I've got here is that he barely says anything, but the way that he says it is unbelievably effective.
He's so intense.
Brilliant, eh?
I think I've gained more of an appreciation of Sid, like looking back. I
Mhm.
think because he seemed like when I was wee, like properly young watching stuff. I think he was quite intimidating.
Mhm.
And then as I got a bit older, I kind of just thought, "Oh, he's just a big guy. He's just one of these big guys that couldn't move very well." But he's got something. He's got something about him.
Oh, definitely. Remember when we watched, what was it? Great American Bash 89, and he was in the skyscrapers
Yeah, yeah,
with Dan Spivey. And even back then, I think we both were like, oh, how class was Sid
yeah, yeah.
there? I think I feel the exact same looking back,
Mhm.
especially this. I've never been like a big Psycho Sid Justice, Sid Vicious fan, but I like came away for this like, oh my God, I'm so happy. I was so happy for him. Anyway, we'll
Oh,
get to it.
brilliant.
So we get Lou Albano or Louis Albano come out to the ring, and then I think he just disappeared again.
Yeah,
Did he?
yeah. I think when
Um,
he was first coming out, I wondered if he would stick around for the match or have some sort of involvement, but nah, he just kind of went again.
and then with Cornette come out and join the commentary booth, which was fun for me. I certainly enjoyed him on commentary. Um, then we have the Nation come out with their two white rappers and the lawyer. So this is very early incarnation. I was trying to
Yeah,
find out if this was the first time that they'd been on TV. Because JR mentioned something about, Farouk used to have that daft helmet and that.
yeah, yeah.
JR mentioned something about they finally taking the helmet off him or something like that.
Because I think I've got it at the start of my notes. Is this like the start of Farouk forming the nation? Is this like right in the beginning of it? Because yeah, when they brought him in, they had him wearing some daft helmet, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what kind of character they were going for, and then to go to quite a sort of militant character pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, I like where they end up going. I remember there being a few sort of early incarnations of the nation before you get to the sort of classic like five guy lineup that they end up with. But yeah, I was never big on the white rappers. They didn't do an awful lot for
It
me,
was
I have to
an
say.
odd dynamic there.
Yeah.
So this is another one of these elimination Survivor Series elimination matches, and we have got a who's who of, well, I don't know what. We've got a who's who, son. Who have we got here, Adam? Heel team, we've got Farouk, as we just said. We've got Fake Razor,
Yep.
followed by Fake Diesel,
Yep.
which is the former Isaac Yankum.
Yep.
Do you know, and obviously who went on to be Kane, and Vader with Cornette, who at this point in time, I was surprised Vader, Owen, Brett weren't all in the same. Owen and Bulldog and Vader weren't all on the same team, because I think they were Camp Cornette, weren't they?
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking about the fake. Well, the fake Razor and Fake Diesel is its own conversation, but Fake Diesel at this point, Glenn Jacobs has been the Unabomber in Smoky Mountain, and they bring him over, and Vince has been to the dentist, so he wants a dentist gimmick, so he gives this guy Isaac Yankum, and he's got shocking teeth. And then they say to him, well, Kevin Nash is pissed off, so we're going to make you the new Diesel. You imagine his reaction when they said, we're going to make you Undertaker's brother, and you're going to wear a red cape. He must have just been like, what? No, I don't, this is it.
Oh, good job he stayed around.
I know.
Yeah. I was
And
so annoyed when this started. I don't know why I hadn't been smarter about this because the positioning would be really, really weird and random. But when I just looked at the card of this, I didn't know that Diesel and Razor had left. So before the match, I was expecting to see the real Diesel and Razor.
what a team that'd have been. Farouk,
I know.
Hall and Nash and Vader. So obviously we had this. That was almost the start of this heel JR character.
Uh-huh.
So this is November. I think I want to say brought them out May, June time maybe.
Yeah.
And as soon as they came out, I think you mentioned it earlier, and JR's given the whole like, why are they booing this young man? He's better looking than the last guy that had that name. He's more talented. I was like, all right. That makes sense. What's going on here? Because JR cut the whole heel promo and all that sort of stuff, didn't he?
Yeah.
It's almost a brass neck to put them on pay-per-view,
eh? Roll them out on TV if you want for a segment. Don't put them on pay-per-view. Like I do not have many notes for this. I was just really annoyed when it started. I just thought, nah, I don't want to watch this. I didn't really have much interest in seeing a 50, 60-year-old murderer on the other team either. It wasn't for me. But that took me so much more out of the match when I saw that it was the fake ones.
Yeah, well, obviously, because I thought when we were getting Austin Brett and then straight into Michaels Sid, this is obviously our palate cleanser. We're bringing the crowd back down to earth, which we absolutely did.
Yeah.
Face team consisting of Savio Vega, who I think around about 1986 must have been Intercontinental level.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Yeah.
Sure, he was feuding with Austin around about WrestleMania 12. Yokozuna.
Yeah.
Looking yoked.
Yeah.
How? He can't have lasted much longer after this, surely.
Nah,
this must have been round about the time where they were telling him to get off, stop eating and all that sort of stuff, and he was determined to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
He was massive. I like the beard on him, but
yeah, just too big though. Just too big.
He doesn't even get in the match. He literally stands on the apron.
Oh,
and
I
then
don't
walks
think
back.
I picked up on that. Oh.
We've got Flash Funk, doing an audition to be what the Godfather would become later on.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty good athlete. I think we've seen. Have we seen RVD, Too Cold Scorpio, on an ECW?
Yeah.
Probably around about 97 time, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was good in ECW.
He was great, and to have him saddled with this sort of dancing, it's essentially a sort of pimp, a black exploitation type character, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's just so lazy. It's so typical Vince. And then, like you said, Snooker looking like Ozzy Osbourne, not knowing where he is, sort of thing. Yeah. Not a great match at all, was it?
Nah, and it's almost like it's set up not to be a great match because the way they go to the finish, which is fairly quick in that. I think we get a power bomb by Fake Diesel on Vega, who is eliminated. Jimmy Snuka frog splash on Fake Razor to eliminate him. So you're 3-3, and then all of a sudden everyone's in the ring. There's chairs swinging, and the ref has disqualified everyone.
Yeah, that's
I felt like it was all designed to get a Snuka moment, like he's just been put in the Hall of Fame. Just have him have his moment, leaping off the top again. It kind of felt like it was designed for that.
Agreed. Bring the crowd back down, and then we get ready for the world title match. I want to say that after, I think we spoke about this last time actually, after SummerSlam 94, after Nash left for WCW, they put Sid in that bodyguard role.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
And for what I understand, the main event here was supposed to be Shawn Vader as
Okay.
a rematch from SummerSlam, but it was around about that time where Shawn refused to work with Vader and
Yes.
all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
this wasn't even supposed to be what happened, but I think it
Yeah.
looks like they've made chicken salad
Yeah.
because like from the build up and all that, they're on the same side, and then they did the whole like, can they work together and
Hmm.
fight each other and stuff like that. It's a pretty good build up from the
Yeah.
looks of it. It's a shame that Shawn Michaels was such a little bitch
Yeah.
because Vader. We say this all the time. Vader. I think even JR says to Cornette on commentary, he's like the uncrowned champion.
Yeah. It's a. I think I sort of look at it two ways. It's a shame because I don't think they ever quite got to the stage of using him in the way that would have been most effective, and they may well have done if that hadn't happened with Shawn in that instance. But I think he's maybe a little bit past his best here as well. Like I remember like looking back, seeing some old clips. He had quite a bit of agility about him, and I think
Moonsaults and whatever.
yeah, and I think that's pretty much gone by the time we're in this era. Um, but yeah, I suppose if they're looking for somebody to step in, the crowd are going to be in full agreement of who they went for by the end of this.
Absolutely. The entrance for Sid is amazing. The music, the slow walk, the intensity in his face with the fist bumps with the crowd.
Mhm.
New York love him.
Yeah,
And then we get the fireworks, we get the
they
SID.
said, yeah, that's cool. I always liked that.
So cool. Suddenly I'm dominant. Didn't love that. Sorry, JR. His name's Sid. It's cool. Doesn't have to be an acronym. But a really cool entrance. And I always love a Madison Square Garden pay per view where they come in from that hard camera entranceway. I think they should go back to that. We've probably spoke about that before. It's probably a maximising of revenue and seats and all that, but
Mhm.
it just evokes a cool feeling of the old pay per views.
Yeah.
Um, and then Shawn comes out and the roof blows off. I was surprised at the reaction from him. Were you?
Yeah, I didn't really know how it was going to go because I kind of assumed you'll have Sid here as the heel. I was trying to remember where Shawn would be through this part of his career. So when Sid didn't get like a big heel reaction, I was thinking, right, what's the reaction for Shawn? I just didn't really know what to expect. And he's obviously, I think, popular at this time. I think this crowd are maybe more with Sid, but
Mm.
I think maybe the spectacle of you're going to get a Shawn Michaels match now gets the crowd quite excited at the start. But yeah, the as it went on, the crowd I found really interested. The way things started to shift.
It almost felt like the crowd were split by gender.
Yeah, I think that's pretty likely.
You got it's almost like you could hear the guys going yeah when Sid was doing things,
Yeah.
and like the baby face reaction that Michael's got. I don't remember seeing him get a reaction like that.
Yeah.
There's like women pulling at him,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
physically pulling him, kissing him on the way out. It reminded me. I went back and watched. There's a Von Erich World Class Championship Wrestling documentary on the network, not the one that we were
Uh-huh.
going to watch, but a sort of shorter one. And that
Yeah.
was the sort of reaction they were getting when they were coming out. The women
Okay.
grabbing at them in the crowd, trying to kiss them and all that.
Yeah.
I was quite impressed actually, and I always think Michaels looks good with the belt, that belt on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He looks like a superstar.
And I think I remember him being. I don't think it's even that because it was babyface against babyface at 12, wasn't it? Mania
Yeah,
12 for that
yeah.
Iron Man match. And I remember the crowd being very with the decision to put the belt on him at the time. And I think there's probably been some antics on the go and things like that. I don't know if that, as you know, your maybe more male audience, does that put you off a bit? Or are you like, just can't really be doing with this guy now? It's an
And,
interesting dynamic.
and Austin was almost playing into that perception as well. You know, he's calling him sissy boy and all that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah.
The thing I liked about this match was that they had really good chemistry. And I always think Michaels does with bigger guys. I think he has good matches with Undertaker as well. But I liked that it was able to showcase Michaels' speed versus Sid's power. And they were able to use each of their areas against each other really effectively. I really liked that.
Michaels is good at selling, and you know, in there with a like I've got first thing in terms of the actual match that I've got in my notes is just saying Sid is fucking massive, and he does like he lifts him up for a press slam right early on, but Michaels escapes out of it. You've got Michaels going after the leg, a bit of logic there, just try to chop him down, as they say. I've been a bit wise in one of my comments. Michaels with a figure of four, maybe it's the wear and tear from this that caused Sid's leg to snap.
Oh, God.
My bad. Bad. Sorry, Sid. Sorry. Don't come after me.
Is Sid still alive?
Yeah. I think he's been at a couple of, like, you know, when they do certain specials of Raw and things like that. I think he's turned up a couple of times over the last few years. I don't think he's any desire to be actively involved in anything, but yeah, I think he's still going okay.
Class. There's a good bit where Shawn does the old skin the cat routine. You know, he gets thrown over, he holds on the ropes and brings back up, and Sid's right there behind him, just clotheslining him, poof, straight out of the ring. Love that.
Nice. Yeah.
And this is where they end up down the aisle, and Sid looks like he's got to launch him in the crowd. He's got him in the military press.
Yeah.
I love that as well. He just effortlessly just flings him against the railing.
Yeah. I think round about that point in time, JR seems to reference the Click.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
What does he say?
What is he going for here? Just I didn't have it written down exactly what was said, but I've just got JR referencing the Click.
Oh wow! So of course this reminds me actually. I went back to check when the curtain call was in comparison to here, because the story now is that Triple H got buried. Nash and Hall were gone. Michaels was the champion. Triple H was the only one that could get buried, but I mean, he was Intercontinental Champion here.
Yeah,
they made him out to be quite dominant.
I don't know how buried he was. I mean, he was supposed to get the King of the Ring when the Austin got, and I think he maybe gets that King of the Ring the next year.
97.
So I don't think it was too long a punishment. And yeah, he's still featured. He's still in a program. He's been Intercontinental Champion. Yeah, he's not been ridiculously buried, I don't think. I think the story always was he just took the punishment and just got on with it.
Yeah. He did get squashed by Warrior Mania 12.
There was that.
In seconds.
Which was never supposed to happen, apparently. They had a whole match figured out, and then I think quite late in the situation, Warrior basically said, I'm not doing that.
Of course. We get quite a lot towards sort of middle 3/4 through this batch of Michaels just looking completely out on his feet. And he gets to a point where the whole babyface comeback starts, but it gets started and stopped almost straight away. He does the old flying nothing, and Sid catches him.
I think this is where, is it here? Maybe it's as the comebacks go, because there's quite a few attempts at comebacks by Shawn, and then they kind of get cut off. And there's elements of the crowd that start cheering the comeback, but then there's huge cheers when Sid starts cutting them off.
Amazing.
It's brilliant.
It's quite smarky. It's quite reminiscent of Cena and Roman Reigns, actually, because I'm just thinking, if you like follow through what actually happens, Sid essentially kills a man, and he's like cheered throughout the building.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's walk through it. Sid's one-handed choke slam.
Yeah.
None beats that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And Kane used to do a one-handed choke slam as well, but Sid's just, I think it's the size difference as well, just makes it look absolutely incredible.
Brilliant.
So, for some reason, Sid grabs a camera after hitting the choke slam. I thought, cool, like, he's going to do like a whole point of view beatdown type thing, because that's kind of what it looked like he was getting set to do. But Jose Lothario, which is an unbelievable name, climbs up on the apron, and Sid hits him smack bang in the chest with it.
Yep.
I've got here, fucking hell, Sid just killed Jose Lothario.
Yeah.
And that just changes the whole match, really.
Yeah, the crowd didn't really turn on him, though. Like, the ones that were cheering him did not stop.
Yeah, kill that old man.
Yeah, as you say, it's quite an odd dynamic right there. Because, yeah, I thought, is this him, have they come up with something on the fly? Is it been that the reaction for Sid isn't what they want? Do they want the heel reaction? All the cheers on Shawn? But if that was the case, it didn't really work.
Nah, not at all. And Michaels is completely, he's been taken out, but then once he sort of comes to, he's forgot about the match, and all he cares about is getting to Jose. But Sid gets him back in the ring, and Michaels tries to fight back. He ends up hitting poor Earl Hebner's in the wrong place at the wrong time again. And Sid uses this opportunity to grab the camera, and so Michaels nails Hebner, and then uses that opportunity as Hebner's down to crawl out the ring and start calling for a paramedic for Jose Lothario. So Sid grabs the camera and just nails Michaels with that as well.
Yeah, and JR says he hopes Jose isn't having a heart attack. I was
dripping with sarcasm, Jug.
I just thought, oh, for fuck's sake, JR, just I don't remember his heel gimmick lasted too long, but this already feels like it's been too long in this show.
Remember, they've tried. Vince obviously a wee bit obsessed with turning JR heel, because he did try a few times.
Yeah.
They tried doing, what was it? Did JR is Raw or something like that, where he was like sitting at his own commentary table after he'd had his first bout of Bell's palsy. People were just sympathetic for him. They're trying to make him a heel.
Yeah.
So Sid's nailed Michaels with the camera, gets him in the ring, hits him with the powerbomb. The crowd are fully behind this. That you get the 1, 2, 3. We've got a new champion.
A huge crowd pop, and I think the announcers they keep referencing New York, as if to say, yeah, it's different here. This isn't real. This is just in New York. Everywhere else, they're very wary of Sid. Love Shawn. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny the way that all played out.
I feel like it's a great finish to the pay-per-view. Like I said, I came away really happy for him. I think because he's no coming across as cartoony heel at all. He came out intense, like he's going into a battle, and he's really up for it. I don't really think him hitting them with a camera and that really made me think anything either.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think, it felt like almost a "you deserve it" moment. He got his moment. I mean, he's been screwed a few times. If you remember when Hogan turned heel and nobody went with Sid in that situation, everyone just Hogan eliminated Sid from the Rumble despite already being eliminated. This is all payback for those tough times that Sid went through.
There's a great tweet. Whoever said that sentence before, but somebody once asked Sid about that on Twitter. They asked him about why would Hulk Hogan have eliminated you when he was a face? And Sid came out with a class response. It was like, you don't judge the man on what he says, you judge the man on what he does, or something like that. It's like, like essentially saying Hulk Hogan's a real life heel.
Brilliant.
It's cool. So that was us. That wrapped up the pay-per-view. And Sid had a moment with our boy Vladimir, where it really looked like they were like so happy. Vladimir was really happy for him, and Sid was accepting it.
Nice.
I like that.
Yeah.
Overall, what do you think?
Really enjoyed Austin Brett. Enjoyed Sid Shawn. It was fun seeing things like Triple H and The Rock interact for what would have been the first time on a pay-per-view. But other than that, not the best. I think that those were the highlights for me. What about you?
Yeah, same. Pretty much exactly the same. It felt quite similar to what we used to talk about in 1998 pay-per-views. The undercard was pretty weak.
Yeah.
But the top stars helped to make the pay-per-view, and that's what we were there for, almost.
Yeah.
I apologise, that was my pick. But yeah, mixed bag.
Okay.
So, what have you got for us?
Okay. There's usually a reason for a pick, right? Normally we come up with a reason why we're doing it. I don't know that I have a great reason for picking this.
Okay.
You messaged me, was it last night, saying what have you got in mind for next? And I was thinking, I've nothing. I've absolutely nothing.
Well, will I put on the table what I proposed to you before you tell me what you've picked?
Yeah.
So you were socialising at the weekend, and you're talking about being potentially a little bit lubricated, and I said to you, text me when you're drunk. I've got an idea, but you need to be drunk to consider it. So I said to you, what about trying to cover WWECW? And even in a drunken stupor, you were wise enough to say, shut up. That's a horrendous idea. The only good things about that would be Kelly. So whatever you're about to come up with was much better than my suggestion. So let's hear that.
It may be your suggestion that planted the seed.
Oh.
Because what I would like us to watch is ECW One Night Stand 2005. So that's the first. The first, I think, maybe supposed to be a one-off at that point in time show. So I've definitely seen it once. I've never gone back and rewatched it. And it crossed my mind earlier today, and then I had a look at the card, and I thought, I think this could be quite good fun.
Love it. Love it. I was going to text you saying, I bet you're picking One Night Stand.
Really?
I'm glad I never, because you'd have changed it. Tremendous. I'll not go through the card because I think that's the sort of thing that you just stick it on and you watch and you get surprised by who's on it and stuff like that. I feel like, so once upon a time we watched the ECW Rise and Fall show on the network, and I think it was off the back of how popular that was that they came up with the idea for this. I want to say RVD was one of the people that pushed it, and Heyman obviously. That'll be I'm chuffed with that. That's brilliant.
Excellent.
Great choice.
Cool.
2005.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I had to double check that was the first one because I knew there were two in a row before. Was it off the back of the second one that I think they brought back ECW as its own show? But 2005 looks like it was the first one, so that's the one I'm aiming for.
Tremendous. Okay, I'm looking forward to watching that. Nice choice. That's better than Elijah Burke and what other people? Vampiro?
Was that
the zombie?
The zombie. Yeah.
The Big Show.
Yeah.
I'm sure Big Show was ECW champion for quite a while.
Yeah, I think that was a thing. Yeah.
That says it all, doesn't it? Excellent. Right. Well, we'll look forward to discussing that in a couple of weeks.
Awesome.
Until then, Adam, you take it easy.
Cheers, you too.
What do you think the England-Wales score is?
I know what it is.
How long's gone?
They've got about 15 minutes to go, I think.
England winning easy.
Yeah, 3-0.
Yeah. Oh, well. Good stuff. Yeah. Who do you think's going to win the World Cup, Adam? Put it on record right here, right now.
Right. Okay.
The SmackDown World Cup, that is.
Okay.
No, the actual World Cup.
France. You?
Brazil. Let's see.
Yeah.
Will it be done? Will it be done in 2 weeks? Not quite.
Not quite. I think
maybe the week of the final.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. Yeah.
Well, we shall see. And what about the SmackDown World Cup? Who's got to win that?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, come on. I thought you would just like throw out like a Bastion Booger or something like that.
Oh, right.
They are doing a SmackDown World Cup with people representing their nation for some odd reason. But Shinsuke Nakamura got put out in the first round.
Oh, that's disappointing. After we watched him and enjoyed him the other week.
I think the winner gets a shot at Gunther's Intercontinental Championship. That's what they're doing.
Okay.
Canada would be Sami Zayn.
Yeah. Sami Zayn. Go for him.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Okay, 2 weeks' time. We'll get extreme. Until then, take it easy, buddy.
Cheers, you too.